Hello critters, welcome to today's 3D print. No live stream today. I don't know why, but my upload is like capping at 300 kilobits. That's not even enough for a 480p stream. So I'm recording an interim video here on the cell phone, and I'll upload that however long it takes. Although, actually, if I put it on the 4G, it might be a little bit faster. So I'll give you guys a little update on what's going on, what I'm doing, so you guys have something to watch. Because I owe you guys that. You guys are my lifeblood here. So that rocket we were working on last week, that is finished, and it came out fantastic. It is configurable in 3 pieces, so you can launch the stubby, or for better stability, and some people prefer it, you can put it together like that, and you have a longer rocket. So this whole entire thing is printed in vase mode. The booster, the extension, the stretch I call it, and the nose cone are all in vase mode. So that means easy print. I'm gonna do my I'm gonna start trying to do my little weird open source thing that I want to do, where I release the STL files on Thingiverse for free, and then if you buy it on like Culture My Mini Factory, you'll get access to the factory file, and you'll also get access to ready-to-go G-code that you can use on whatever printer you have. With vase mode, it actually doesn't even matter whether you're Bowden or direct drive, because it's a continuous extrusion. There's no retractions, so it doesn't matter. The only thing is my G-code, maybe I'll reslice it with the heat bed turned on. My G-code is no heat on the heat bed, so if you have PEI glass or PAX or something like that, you'll have to manually turn on your heat bed first. But yeah, the nose cone printed. You have 2 hard points to attach your shot cord to, and the whole entire thing prints in vase mode. There is no retractions for the whole entire print. The body tubes, the stretch part is the same as before. It's just coupler on this end to accept the tube, and a recess on this end to accept the nose cone. So that's super easy print. Again, all vase mode. And of course, this is the coolest part, the booster. The booster includes everything. The fins are reinforced, so I have my little ribs that go through the fin there, and also you'll just notice at the root, it also has a rib. So these fins are real stiff and real strong, while still being a little bit flexible. See how much they flex? I actually have to push them pretty hard to do that. But the nice thing about that, because the filament is running this way, they bend in their strongest direction with the filament like this, instead of against the grain like the other way if you were to bend it. That means when this hits the ground, it should be very unlikely to break. Very stiff, they're not going to flutter. You can see the fin stayed beautifully straight with almost no pillowing. I finally figured out how to integrate launch lugs. The launch lug at the bottom was pretty easy, but away from the bottom was a little difficult to figure out, and then I finally figured it out. I have to make sure normally, like for example, the nose cone, the launch lug, that little thing there is just a cylinder. So it just prints the outer skin and you get yourself a loop. You can't do that here though, because I have to start off with a 45 degree. Because there's no support. It's printing in a single extrusion. And the problem is when you start off at a 45 degree, you don't have a complete loop. You have a partial loop that grows into a complete loop as it goes up to 45 degree. So the trick was, this has to be 2 wall thicknesses so that it can go part way out and part way back without breaking vase mode. And then I realized all I have to do is put a slit down the center of the launch lug, just like I put a split down the body so that I can go from inside to outside. And so that gives me also an excuse to just put the launch lugs along that split seam, and it works perfectly. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. So the transition from body tube size to the 18mm motor mount tube, which is the paper tube you'll put in here, all vase mode. These extra holes here, you can see the 2 slits that connect them to here. That is so that you can feed your shock cord through here. You fold over your shock cord to 2 strands, feed that through here, and then tighten it out up here, and now your shock cord is tied to the model with no glue. The only place you need glue on this model is to glue the motor mount tube inside here. It's the only place you need glue. Well, you probably should glue these two parts together if you're going to keep it as a stretch. I guess you don't have to, but if that comes off mid-flight, your parachute might end up stuck inside of here, which would be bad. This is probably light enough to survive recovery, but I wouldn't do that. So this has basically all of my current vase mode advancements all in one booster. So the reinforced fins, which retain vase mode, are beautiful and they're nice and stiff. The integrated launch slugs, and these are 1/4-inch slugs, so it won't matter what launch rod you're using. I'm actually thinking about trying to see if I can make an integrated launch slug rail button. So if I can design a launch slug that'll allow you to, for example, put it on a rod and also put it on a rail. I'm going to experiment with that and see if that's possible. I think that'd be pretty cool if I can make one single print that would allow you to put this on a rail or on a launch rod. I think that'd be pretty cool. Might be too big. You can see the transition in here as it gives you the larger cavity to hold your parachute. But that whole entire thing is vase mode from start to finish, and everything is integrated into it. The only non-vase mode portion will be the motor retention. I also like this idea of having the motor recess into the rocket a little bit. The motor will actually be about flush with the back of the rocket. The reason for this is so that when you glue your retention onto the back of the rocket, so basically you're going to have one of these on the paper tube on the back of the rocket, that will partially recess into the inside of the rocket there. And it'll look a lot cleaner, and it'll all be integrated. And then you'll just have these two pieces for retaining your motor. But now no more separate fin can, and separate launch lugs and all that. Now everything is all integrated. Now this is because we were trying to make an entirely 3D printed rocket. Normally that's not super efficient. This is actually pretty light. This is about, I want to say 62 grams. This is about 21 grams. And I think this was, I want to say 30. Yeah, because I think it was about 110 to 115 grams for the entire rocket. Which is heavy as rockets go, but that's actually, not that much heavier than your typical rocket this size. This is a 2-inch diameter rocket, and this rocket is, I want to say 20 inches long. So 110 grams. And remember, that includes everything. The only thing you have to add is your motor tube and your shock cord and parachute. Otherwise, everything is built in. Your launch slugs are built in. Your centering rings are built in. Your extension, your nose cone, your retention for the nose cone, that's all built in. So when you factor all that in, 110 grams is not that bad. And I prefer my rockets low and slow, so I'm okay with that. This should actually be a pretty decent small field flyer on a C6-3. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's the result of that. I still have to flight test it, of course. I'm pretty sure this configuration, which the CG is right about here. So even wet, this should be stable with no modifications, meaning you shouldn't have to add any nose weight. This configuration will probably require nose weight because the CG is right about there, which would be marginal. That might be okay, especially with 6 fins. But once you add a motor, that CG is going to be back here. So that configuration will probably require nose weight. But this configuration should not require any nose weight. So that's pretty cool. And I've been working on a new design. I'm going to call my I don't know what I'm going to call it. My classic 50s, cruiser. It's got a kind of 50s vibe to it. The whole entire body tube is curved through its entire length. There's no straight line on that body tube. Integrated launch lugs, integrated transitions. I didn't add a shock cord mount. I got to add my shock cord mount to that because I like the way that turned out. I got little extra fins up here. I have to change the angle. They don't print quite right. I changed the angle on this a little bit. It's better, but it needs a little bit more. The overhang's a little too much. But that's just a slick looking. It's got a 50s style to it. The nose cone's going to be pretty long, about that long. But it's going to be, that's just a pretty slick looking design. I don't know, something about that just grabbed me. I like that. A couple other things I'm working on. I finally finished the Ryobi to E27 mount. So now this is all finished and integrated. I'll be pushing a video this weekend that shows how I made this and also how to wire it up. So you just use nickel strips through the side there, through the side there, and through the side there. Beside, the only tool you need is your nippers. That's all you need. You'll just need that to cut it and also to push it into these little cavities, which holds the nickel strip in place. So no adhesives, no screws, no nothing. Just your nippers to cut the appropriate length and push it into the cavities, which holds it in place just by physical, mechanical binding. And so there is your positive terminal, and there is your negative terminal. So when you screw the bulb in, that negative terminal will touch the negative terminal, positive will touch the positive. I finally got the threads perfect. I mean, look how nicely that smooths. That swings right in there like that. It's beautiful. And then this is not a 12-volt bulb, so it's not going to do anything when I plug it in. And look at this, perfect fit. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good fit. That just fits nice. I couldn't find my 12-volt bulb, so I ordered a couple 12-volt bulbs to play with this because this is great for emergency lighting. 3 amp hour battery will run like a 6-watt bulb for like 5 or 6 hours. So that's pretty cool. The idea for this belongs to Ben Nelson off of Facebook. You'll see that in the video I post this weekend. And he just wanted a way. He was printing 2 separate Thingiverse prints and then just duct taping them together and soldered the wires together. And so he doesn't know how to do 3D modeling. And he was wondering about a way to make it all one piece, and I came up with that. So that's my iteration this is V7, to make it one single print. And that uses less than 19 grams of filament. So 19 grams of filament, 2 hours and 40 minutes of printing, a couple of pennies worth of nickel strip, 4mm nickel strip, and you have yourself a little adapter. And that got me thinking, could I do other things with the Ryobi Power Pack? Yes. So this is experimenting. This is the same thing, but designed to accept a 12-volt plug. So, your standard 12-volt accessories. The only problem is, it seems really loose. So is this too big or is this unusually small? I'm not sure. I got to figure that out. So I'll work on that because I want to make sure it's universal. So I will figure that out, but that's the next idea is make it so I can run 12-volt DC accessories off of the Ryobi batteries. I think that'd be a lot of fun. That's basically it for now. My idea for my next projects, and maybe to be ongoing projects, is coming up with products that you can buy, but maybe we can design and 3D print instead. So on TikTok, some guy was posting about gadgets for Amazon, should you buy or not. And one thing he showed was this little pocket that you unscrew your light switch, put this behind it, screw your light switch back in, and that holds it in place. And now you have a little pocket to put things like your keys and stuff like that right next to the door. And you can even, for example, put a little insert in the bottom that give you hooks to hang keys from the bottom and put stuff in the top. I was like, we can 3D print that. Why spend $15 on that when you can 3D print it for 50 cents? So, if you guys can find little things like that, keep in mind the concept of 3D printing. We're going to try to keep them small because we want to keep them like under 4 hours of printing, and something that you can do like in an afternoon. So you don't even have to think about, should I order this to be delivered in 2 days from Amazon? Not in 4 or 5 hours you could print it. So if you guys find any more things like that you think that we could work on designing and modeling into a 3D model that we can print, let me know. Send me a link. 3D printing at Nerisse.com, Nancy Echo Romeo Yankee Sam.com. And I will see what I can do. If I think it's viable, we will make an episode out of it where we will make something interesting for 3D printing. My next objective is to make something like this, but for my DeWalt batteries, because I have a whole bunch of DeWalt batteries. They're going to be a little trickier because, it's a sled. So the tolerances are going to be, it's not going to be a simple square with a half dome top that we just have to scale right until those contacts touch. So it's going to be a little bit trickier than the Ryobi one. but maybe somebody already has a power sled available. And if they do, we can simply use that as the base and then start adding things like our E27 mount, cigarette lighter mount. I have some big Ryobi batteries. So one of the things that I plan to make is one of these little adapters with my with a little DC coupler plug in it. So I can use one of these to power my 12 volt Ender 2. So I can actually run my Ender 2 off of one of these. The trick will be to see if I have 11 of them, so I guess I can risk one of them. See if it gets pissy at getting 18 volts. It might not like that. It might not like, because technically this puts out 18 volts. You know, they're called 20 volt batteries, but the reality is they're all 18 volt batteries. The voltage is 20 volts, but it drops very quickly to that 18 volt range. But it'll be interesting to see if we could run a 3D printer off of Ryobi batteries. You know, maybe even have a 3D printed sled sitting next to the printer. You know, the printer would sit on top of it, and you'd have the space to the right where you'd have this socket built into a mount, and you would just take your battery and go click, and there you go. Now your printer is running off of, you know, commonly. If you happen to have a lot of Ryobi batteries, this makes a lot of sense. But, you know, only if you have the big ones, the big 5 amp hour or bigger, you know, 5, 6, 9 amp hour, you know, the big boys like this. What's this one? This one's a 5 amp hour, so 90 watt hours, which means this will run, in theory, this will run the Ender 2 for 2 hours. Because with no heat bed, it takes about 42 to 48 watts to run this printer. So it should run that for about 2 hours. It depends on what the sag and drop off are. But yeah, just ideas. So sorry for no live stream today. Tomorrow we have to go to Albuquerque from one of Michelle's appointments. Maybe I'll try to stream again on Friday if the internet comes back. I think it's just because it's raining. We very rarely get rain here, so I think something on the pole gets wet and the internet just goes. We very rarely get rain, so it very rarely happens. It just happens to be raining today. So I will see you guys all later. Thank you very much. Oh, and also, by the way, this will also be the same thing. I'll put the STL on Thingiverse for free. It's already up there. If you just go to my Thingiverse, you'll see this as well as that. Make sure you print this at like 90% flow rate, extrusion multiplier. If you print this at too high a flow rate, if you over extrude too much, the bulb won't fit. This bulb should just literally spin right in. So if it doesn't spin right in, you're over extruding a little bit for this print. I'm using 90% flow rate when I printed this, and it came out much, much better. Most people are actually over extruding and they don't realize it until they print something that requires tolerances, and then they realize, hey, it's not fitting. No, that's why, because you're over extruding. You can see I'm not over extruding. The top layer there is perfect. So there's no over extruding there. And I'm not under extruding because there's no gaps. It's a perfect top layer. I'll also have a paid download on like Cults and My Manufactory, I think, where you'll be able to get the G-code files and the factory file for Simplify 3D. And of course, all of that will be free for my patrons. All of my patrons will get access to all of my paid files at no cost. It just seems something I can do to pay you guys back for supporting me for so long. So I gotta find ways to, you know, I know my patrons don't need it, but I need it to feel right. So that's my little tiny insignificant way I can give back a little bit. So if I have any custom G-code or factory files that I release on the paid version, this way you guys will get it for nothing. You guys won't have to buy it. And go from there. So I will see you guys later. I will have the video on this released this weekend. And I'll probably do another video eventually on this one. And another video on this when I get it working. And I got to start making more videos. Not just live streams. But I will see you guys later. You guys have a great day. We're starting to get warmer weather here. We're already starting to hit 70s during the day. And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, finally get more work done outside because I got a lot of work outside to do. But you guys have a great day.